Greetings, everybody. Nino the Mystic here, and welcome to another Let's Talk. And tonight we're going to be talking about the Georgia Guidestones. That's going to be interesting. So, how you doing tonight, Robert?
Doing great. Looking forward to this one. Really am. Georgia Guidestones. That was a big thing a number of years ago when they came crashing down, and everybody's like, "Oh, bye!" I remember when it happened. I was like, and then they just destroyed it. And then there was show after show after show about the Georgia Guidestones, and everybody was like, "Oh my!" And it seemed like everybody knew about them, and now dead silence. So we're bringing it back.
Yeah.
Circling back, like Jen Psaki used to say, we're going to circle back and let you know all about it because it's something not to be forgotten.
Yes, I know. And that's the thing. One generation from now, nobody will know. I asked my son, like, Georgia Guidestone, do you ever heard of it? No. So the young people, I don't think really, especially if you weren't awake prior to 2020 type of thing, you know what I mean? Because they took him down in 22, and we're going to go into that a little bit more in here. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm sure most people in the audience here have heard of the Georgia Guidestones, and it is considered sort of the North American Stonehenge, I guess some people call it, just because it's made out of stone. I do believe, too, that it's arranged in a way that it is a solar time. You can tell the time by, with the sun, how it hits with the sun. I do believe there's a little bit more thought into that construction than just the writing. You know what I mean? So it is sort of a bit of our little bit kind of like the stone things. That's a lower. And I just realized, as somebody was mentioning earlier, that we have a thing here in Canada. I didn't even know we had a Canadian Stonehenge here.
Really?
So yeah, I'm gonna have to go and check that out now.
Modern day one? Is this a modern day one, or is it a
I think it's an old one. So it's up there with all the other ones. Yeah, I didn't even realize that Canada had one. Like, because that probably would have been built way before, we came here. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna have to go and check that out and see what that's all about. Because it's very interesting that when you see all these ancient things. However, the thing we're talking about today was erected in 1980. So yeah. But before we get into the subject at hand, if you guys don't mind smashing that like button, okay, right now, and then share this out so that people can join us live if they like to. I know a lot of people enjoy the live chats. And that will give you an opportunity to ask questions live, if you want the answer right away. If not, if you are watching it on the replay, just use the comment section down below. Okay, guys? And there's tons of ways of supporting the channel. Of course, we do accept donations. There is a PayPal link down below if you would like to show some love that way. It is a crowd-funded channel. Essentially, I'm not sponsored or monetized in any way. So we do rely on donations and also merch store. I do have a merch store, and I know Robert is sporting the new logo here today. Hopefully he's not frozen. He looks kind of frozen there to us right now.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's just the screen is frozen. Oh, there you are. Okay, there you go. Yeah, you got the new logo on there today.
Yeah, I do. Look at that. Ain't that nice?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I do not consent. That's right. And that's, so this way you can, not consent without having to say a word. All you have to do is walk around with that shirt no matter what comes your way. You do not consent. And that way the karma, is a karma thing, because they tend to put things out for us to see. And that's exactly what we're talking about tonight. This Georgia Guidestone. They literally put it up in stone in 10 different languages, the major languages on this planet. Okay. The plan, essentially, for humanity and for this planet. Now, some people believe that it was supposed to be here for after the apocalypse. So like something that humanity could look at after it all had happened, say we had a nuclear war or something like that, that this thing would still be standing, and people, the new people that would come after us would see this. And this would be sort of, the 10 Commandments for them. That sort of was the, the thoughts, back in the day before they took it down. But I guess they must have thought that, this is hitting home too close right now. We better take it down. We don't want future generations to see this later, because it's kind of evidence that it was planned out, obviously after the fact, you know what I mean? And the internet will be scrubbed out, so you won't see any of this stuff, later. So this is another reason why I think it's important to bring it up to people's awareness before it fades out of your memory. You know what I mean? Because it will fade out of the internet, and we're just out of sight, out of mind. We're all just gonna kind of so. Hopefully, hopefully somebody will get something out of this. But go and check out the merch store. I should give you the little link for it here. If you guys want to go and check out the merch store while we're yapping away here, you can. Or you can always go in there at any time. It's open 24/7, guys. Go and check it out. It's a great way to support the channel and get yourself some one-of-a-kind items. There's all kinds of items. There's 4 different logos, all kinds of sizes, styles, and sizes. I think it goes all the way up to 5X, some of the shirts. So even for those who are on the bigger side, there should be something in there for you, okay? So go and check out the store. And welcome, everybody. I see there's a lot of people here. I'm just going to quickly say Star Ruby was first in chatting. And so welcome, everybody. I see a few people coming in here now, so that's great. Awesome. Make sure you hit that like as you get settled in, and share it out to a couple places, okay? And see if we can't get some more people in here, and we'll go from there. So, yes. So I have the Wikipedia here, and I do have a link for it in the description. I believe it's the first link you're going to hit will be the Wikipedia, of course. I know a lot of people don't like the Wikipedia, but it is kind of a quick little place to go to get sort of the facts. And so I have it here. Now, I don't know if you guys can see this at all. Let me know. If not, I think Robert will have some closer up things maybe once we get into the actual commandments, or it's not called commandments. I can't remember what they call it now.
They're guides. They're
guides,
10 ways
guidelines or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, they're guidelines to live in the new world. Referencing the New World Order. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly
wait a minute. According to what I read, was not the New World Order, but the One World Order. Big difference, kind of, I guess. Because the One World Order has been around a long time. It was George Bush who coined the phrase, New World Order, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, from what I understand, because I know we do a series on the Anunnaki, and from what I understand, I do believe that that's kind of how it was with them. They had the one, it's just the one leader, one religion, one currency. You don't have all these, multiple of, and so my understanding is that I think they're trying to go back to that way. It's just that's something new for us, but apparently it was working. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying yay or nay to that whole thing. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. But anyways, it was a granite monument, that was erected there in Georgia in 1980. Okay, so it's been there a while, or it was there for quite a while. And it was a huge tourist attraction, I would say. And if you want to, like I said, I got the Wikipedia down here. If you want to see how many pounds it is and how tall it was, all of that stuff is down in here. I don't want to spend too much time on that. Well, but yeah, the conspiracy theories have had, obviously, theories. I mean, once we get into the guidelines that they have for us, you'll see why the conspiracy theories were coming out,
the Guidestones themselves kind of revealed a little bit of that too. being that you were talking about how they were built. They did put in those it was to built apparently not to stand up against some kind of weapon, but it was supposed to stand up against maybe a catastrophe of some sort, a nuclear war, or
that's what I was
or a
saying
hurricane
earlier.
or an earthquake.
Yeah.
But even though it didn't make it through a weapon.
No. Well, I just said that, like, 10 minutes ago. I just said that, yeah, back in the day, we used to think that, and I guess I'm part of the conspiracy theories then, we used to think that that's why they put it up. That's, that kind of made sense at the time that, they put this up so that people could find it after, the big catastrophes and whatever, so let's say, there was something that happened, you know what I mean? So, but here they're tying it to Satanism. I've never really, unless you consider the New World Order to be Satanism, which in my understanding, I would say no. Satanism is more all about your own self, deifying your own self, and and that sort of thing. But and Christianity, there's debates about Satanism and Christianity, like all religion, to be tied into it. I would definitely say, when you look at the Vatican, who, by the way, the Pope is dying right now. So there's going to be a new Pope coming into towns, but that's a whole nother show. So for those of you who are religious, yes, he is on his way out. His kidneys are shutting down, and he's on his way out. So, but anyways, the Vatican, talk about Satanism. If there's anything satanic, I would say the Vatican. It's got to be it. With their blood, this, blood, that. The whole thing's all about blood, and we now know, all the nasty stuff that they've been doing. So, I think there's a whole different misunderstanding about Satanism, Christianity. Like, there's a whole big misunderstanding there. It's actually the opposite of what they said it is, in my opinion. You never hear of, Satan doing anything, you know what I mean? But you do hear about God. He does a lot of things. But anyways, we're not going to get into that here. Some people, I guess, have their own opinions about whatever. But anyway, so this thing has been there. It's in 10 different languages. And I guess we'll go and maybe look at some pictures after. But yeah, there's 10 different languages, the same commandments. But on the morning of July 6th, now, before we even go into this date here, and I'll never forget this date, I remember very vividly, because the day before, and I'm going to, let's see if I can get in there. If I can share a little something there. Just takes a second here.
What happened the day before?
Earlier, because it just takes up so much room. So the day before, okay, let's see if I can find everything. I've got so much stuff going on here. The day before, okay, which is July 5th, okay. So the Guidestones got taken down on the 6th, right? So this is July 5th at almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon. This happened. You guys remember this? The Hadron Collider, this thing? Okay. So this is just to show that it actually did happen on that day. So 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So less than 12 hours later is when they took down the Georgia Guidestones. Now, I remember this very vividly. It almost felt like we shifted a timeline or something at this time. So because, they're doing something to... Yeah, I don't know exactly what they're doing, collapsing or what they're doing exactly. But it did feel like there was a shift. And then, like I said, less than 12 hours later, the Georgia Guidestones get taken down. So I just wanted to show you that so that you could see that. I'm going to get rid of that so that it doesn't take up so much room. Yeah, then I got to go into the other thing here. There we go. So, yeah, so on the 6th, which was early in the morning, so it was like, between 3 and 4 in the morning. So just hours into the next day. Heavily damaged by this word, and it's just one of those things again where, oh well, there's not enough footage, we don't know who did it. There was a footage of some car, but nobody got arrested, I don't think. And it was all cleaned up by noon the next day, that same day. So actually, within less than 24 hours, that whole thing was gone, cleaned up, nothing to see here, kind of thing. So that made it very suspicious to me. Oh, I didn't know about this. In late July, the mayor announced he plans to rebuild the monument, but they haven't. They have not rebuilt that monument. It sits there empty. So now you had something about the founder here. This is apparently, now from what I understood, is that nobody knew who paid for this. Like there wasn't, it was like an anonymous donor or whatever, because this thing would have cost quite a bit of money to erect. But there is a name here, and I don't know if this is real. So what do you have on this Robert Christian guy?
Okay, well, from my study, somebody had, refurbished the words, and how they put the words in there and they take the spelling and make something else.
Okay.
And if you rearrange the letters, it comes up with untarnished conspiracy.
Oh.
How crazy is that?
That is crazy.
What's the chance of that? This Robert C. Christian was supposed to be an older man. He was also, there was only one person who actually got to know who he was, and he went to the grave with his real name, and these loyal Americans you're talking about took them 20 years of planning to get this structure put up. Now, there are some conspiracies that say that it wasn't even a small group of Americans, and money was no object because it could have been funded by the government, the United States government. Technically, our tax dollars could have paid for this, and nobody would have really known, especially now that we're finding out money is being hidden all over the place. And, with Trump and Elon Musk digging all this up, money would have been no problem. Name your price. Here's the check the guy sent.
I know, with all their missing of trillions of dollars and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that they didn't fund this out of their own pocket, but rather, somehow through our tax dollars. Yeah. And yes, it was made so that it would function as a compass, calendar, and a clock, and capable of withstanding catastrophic events. And this is why we thought, okay, so they made this to put up so that humanity would have something to go by, in the next, time that we're here or whatever. But now that they took it down, it seems like no. So something switched. I think that something switched the day before when they fired up that CERN thing, and that got changed for some reason. They decided no, take it down.
I do believe, they say that Hadron Collider is a doorway that they open up. And I think, maybe the new leader came through the doorway. And, because we were talking about the Anunnaki, and all this stuff. They come from somewhere. What if a new one came through and he says, okay, these are all the things I want to get rid of. You need to get rid of these things when I get there. You better have them down, gone. I'm the new ruler, and a lot of things disappeared in 2022 and 2020. A lot of remember they were taking down all the statues in 2020 in the big cities. Remember that? Pulling them down, hauling them off, people destroying them.
After sort of the big leaders in the Middle East, that was going on. I mean, it's all over the news or pulling them down.
Too.
And, there was a lot of things going on. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, this would have been, on the list of things to do too. I mean, we don't keep track of a lot of that that stuff. Some of those Buddha carvings in the mountainsides have been there for, thousands and thousands of years. And then the military goes over there and starts shooting missiles at them and blew them all up, and stone structures.
Yeah.
Took bulldozers to them. This is a thing that if you're in the military, what you're gonna, instead of fighting, you're gonna get the bulldozer out and start bulldozing, structures. That's in the plan of attack. That doesn't make any sense. Those missiles, those bombs, all those things, they cost millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands every shot. So anyway.
So it goes on here, I guess. Yeah. So this guy apparently, according to the Wikipedia, okay, which is made by them, okay, essentially, right? We got to read between the lines here and add some stuff to it. So apparently, the granite finishing company believed that he was a nut, and they attempt to discourage him by providing a price quoted the which was several times higher. But he still did it though, didn't he? Because it probably wasn't his money. Like we just talked about, it was probably, taxpayers' money that paid for it. No money, He says more about when arranging payment. Christian claimed that he represented a group which had been planning to construct the Guidestones for 20 years, and they wanted to remain anonymous. That's what I thought. So they've been planning, they've been plotting and planning all this stuff for decades. So anonymous means them, okay, and who they are. We can name all kinds of names of, the 13 families or whatever, or a certain country that starts with an I. You know what I mean? There's probably a little bit of all of them, But so Christian said he had chosen this place because of his abundance of local granite. Okay, so and mild climate, which I guess that makes sense. I guess of why he chose that particular place. So I guess this guy bought the 5-acre plot of land there. He owns the land and the whole thing, not just the thing. It's a 5-acre, 2-hectare site.
Wait a minute. There's some more to go with this.
Okay.
It was also the highest point in Albert County. Not only was it, on this farmland, but it was the highest point in the whole county.
So if there's ever a flood, that would be the best place to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there you go. They know what they're doing. They put it in a perfect little place there. It just makes you wonder why they took it down, after planning for so long and, paying the money and whatever. But yeah, so they bought the whole land there. Let's see if there's anything else that we... Oh, the owner of his children. The owner of his children. Okay, that makes no sense. We're giving lifetime cattle grazing rights on the Guidestones site. That's cool. That's weird. 77. Are you serious? Georgia State Route 77, around 7 miles.
Yeah.
That's 3 sevens. Oh. There's your Anthahkarana right there. Interesting. 3 sevens, eh? So you got to pay attention to these things. And also, he was erected right on the spring equinox. So interesting time as well. You pay attention to that. So it was unveiled. There was a couple 300 people there. Blah blah blah. Like I said, you can read all the deets here if you want to. I guess they had it pretty, barbed wired up, and so that people can't go there. I guess unless they're on a tour or whatever.
That was another stipulation that they had when they built the stones, that there was to be no T-shirt shops and things like that. A little no section merch. It off and then charge people. Yeah, no merch. It was to basically, even when they had the grand opening, it was like the mayor was there and a couple hundred people, and that was it. It wasn't a big hoop-de-doo, So
that gives me an idea. So they didn't want any merch because they didn't want people running around with this stuff on,
That's it.
know what I mean? That gives me an idea to maybe make some merch with the Georgia Guidestones on it. You know what I mean?
That's
Just
right.
to keep it alive. Keep it alive. Remember this. Remember that. Don't forget. Right. Very interesting. Um, he even wrote a book. There is a book called the Georgia Guidestones, where so if you guys are interested, go to Amazon. I didn't get you guys the link for that, but there is a book in there that tells you all about, and that might not be a bad thing to have on your shelf as a hard copy book, just in case that all of this gets taken down from the internet. Then you'll have the hard copy book on your shelf. Not a bad idea to add that to your library, if you got the money. But yeah. So he's got a quote here, apparently it's from him. I am the originator of the Georgia Guidestones and the sole author of its inscriptions. Okay, so he's taken full, credit for this. I've had the assistance of a number of other American citizens in bringing the monument into being. We have no mysterious purpose of ulterior motives. Oh, no, they're very honest people. Honest John, honest Robert. We see common sense pathways to a peaceful world without bias for particular creeds or philosophies. And to be honest with you, when I read these the first time, or when I read it before, I actually kind of agree with a lot of it. So there is some positive things in what they're planning. It's just that first one that really bothers me the most. I cannot consent to that. You know what I mean? That'll be suicide, essentially. So I can't. And that gives them the karma, you see. If I consent to that, then karma is off of them. You know what I mean? So yeah. So get yourself a t-shirt, people. Yeah. Oh, there's a thing here. I didn't even look at this. Dark Clouds Over Alberton, the true story of the Georgia Guidestones. Ooh, it's a documentary that somebody made in 2015. That would be interesting. Should have watched that before we watched even this, eh? But I mean, you guys can go. Well, that's the thing. This is just to tickle your interest a little bit, especially if you're new and you haven't heard any of this stuff before. Now, after this show is when you start researching and you're going to start watching all this stuff and doing it on your own. You know what I mean? We're just bringing this to your awareness right now. I'm not going to bring all the evidence here tonight. We'll be here all night. You know what I mean? This is just a little preview, a little tickle. You know what I mean? Tickle those ears, as they say in the Bible. So that would have been interesting, the true identity of this guy. Now, who knows, though, if that's a fact or not. Because that will be a documentary made by some dude that we don't know what his true intentions were.
There was only one guy that knew the real name, and the guy never revealed it. And then he died, and then everybody's like, they used this Robert, Christian, to Robert C. Christian, and to name him, it's like a pseudonym, like Mark Twain. There was a Mark Twain, but his name wasn't Mark Twain. That's his pen name.
Yeah, which most people do. I mean, especially nowadays with handle names. Nobody has a real name anymore. And especially when you're trying to be, anonymous and what this. Yeah, so obviously that's not his real name. So we don't essentially know for sure who founded this or funded this, but we know it's them. That's all we need to know. We don't really. We can use our.
But see, here's another thing. But here's another thing. You could write a book and say you are the Robert C. Christian. What's he going to do? Come after you?
Exactly.
No, you could just say I'm Robert L. Christian or C. Christian, and I did the Guidestones and print the book, and what are they going to? They're going to come after you because
there's no
he
proof.
was a real guy. Yeah, there's no proof. And if he comes out and says,
"Oh yeah, he was my grandpa," or whatever. Yeah, I know that's the thing. So that's the thing. So just because it's in a book doesn't mean that it's facts. So you gotta consider that too when you think of the library. We think of that as, something that's sacred. You know what I mean? But it really is just a bunch of dudes writing things in a book. You know what I mean? We don't. You know what I mean? So you gotta remember that too. Yeah. So Yeah, so I guess the monument was a controversial, even before it was unveiled. I guess so. I guess with just the mystery around who's funding this, because this thing costs like thousands and thousands of dollars with all this granite,
Oh
10
yeah,
different languages, just the way it was placed. You could use it as a sundial, you could use it as a whatever. So, no wonder we thought it was a post-apocalyptic type of thing. I mean, I was so surprised when they took it down.
yeah,
But yeah. So, anyways, it's gone through its issues. There's been graffiti. There's been, I'm sure, death to the New World Order. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, there's been a bit of hullabaloo over it over the years. And they're even mentioning the three-letter bureau here. Okay, it's been a bunch of vandalizing and I guess people getting upset, essentially, right? And I think that's why they took it down. They're like, you know what? We're getting
yeah,
too close to the actual event now, that it's going to be looked as evidence, really, that it was pre-thought of. You know what I mean? When it happens, right? So I think
yeah,
that's why they took it down. It's just getting too. But for all those years, though, their karma, is in good standing because they told us it's right here. It's in
yeah.
writing for everyone to see in 10 different languages. You can't come back and say that you didn't know. You see, that kind of thing. That's what they kind of do this for. Is a rich guy that wants to put it in your face. What are you going to do
Yep.
about it? Kind of thing. So anyway, so yeah, July 6th, which was exactly, like I said, hours after that CERN collider thing. He did its thing, whatever it is exactly. They're trying to access dimensions, and are they trying to contact other beings? Are they trying to collapse timelines? I think the excuse is that they're trying to figure out the Big Bang or something. I don't know what their official excuse for doing all of that is. It would have to be good, you would think, in order to kind of justify spending that kind of money. But then again,
Well,
I guess there's
they're
more.
the hydrogen collider. They keep telling us that they're trying to discover the God particle. That
Right.
created
What
the
the hell is a
universe.
God particle?
But I really think, more or less, that I've heard stories that, especially with the signs and symbols outside of the building, the cult practices going on inside the building, that it's more like this is the God door opener, instead of the God particle kind of thing going on, because that would almost make more sense at that point. Um, to just, I mean, you'd think you'd get it right after a while, but instead they keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And even though they said it may affect the magnetics of the earth, the rotation of the earth, could make earthquakes and tidal waves on the other side of the earth, and yet they keep doing it. Why would you keep doing it if it's going to cause so much trouble? And then if you do open, it does open a door, because it is big and it's round. And if you ever seen pictures of that, it reminds me of the Stargate kind of thing going on.
Yep.
And, if they brought in another entity from another dimension through that thing, that would make all the sense in the world why they're getting rid of all this stuff. Pretty simple.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Logical.
makes sense. That is definitely a valid theory right there. Who knows? Exactly what they're up to. But the weird thing about it is it was a fairly small explosion, I would say. And it says here that it caused significant damage to the capstone. Nearby resident reported heard a felt explosion. Right. I already talked about this. Yeah, like the damage to me didn't look like it was that bad. To me, they could have fixed this if they wanted to,
Yeah.
but instead they took it all down with the backhoe, and within an hour, like by noon, it was all gone. No evidence that that thing was ever even there. And usually, when there is a thing like that happening, it starts with a B, there's an investigation. They would quarantine that thing off, and they would investigate. It would, to see, you know what I mean? Like none of that. None of that. And it was just all cleaned up by noon. And that's what made it so sus. You know what I mean? Like it was just it doesn't feel right, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, very, very weird. And then you got the whole aftermath here. I don't really care about what they did after. It's already kind of done now. But anyways, it's got 10 guidelines or principles, if you, whatever you want to call it. It's not commandments, as they say in the Bible, more like guidelines or principles or the way they would like things to be in the future. Okay, it was engraved in oh, it says an 8 here. I thought it was one language of each face of the 4 large upright stones, like a moving clockwise around the structure from due north. These languages were English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, traditional Chinese, and Russian. Those were the languages that they chose. Okay. So let's get to the good part now. Okay, and this is the part that I really want to emphasize on you guys. So I hope that you guys are ready for this. You know, if you do get triggered, you can just turn it off. Okay, there's no need to unsubscribe. Okay, just take it easy. It is going to get a little bit political now, so if you're really not into that, if you get triggered and upset, then you might just want to turn it off. Just a heads up. Okay. So yeah. So the inscriptions. Okay, so the first one here, and this is the one that I have the most problem with myself. The rest of them, you know, I can see positive things from that, but let's go over this first one here. Maintaining humanity under 500 mil. So if you don't know, I think we're close to what, 800 bill now?
Yes.
Bill or whatever it is, that 8 bill now on the planet. Okay, billion people.
Yeah.
They want to maintain humanity under 500 mil. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is, I don't know, you know, how much would you say in percentage of the population? Real quick.
They want to keep like a quarter. Apparently, according to what they said, well, this was back many years ago. They wanted to cut the population down to a quarter, and you know, but now
larger. It's larger than that now. Yeah, because 1980.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
But yeah.
In the 80s, the population was probably like, you know, 5 billion people or 4 billion people, because it doubles every about 50 years. So, you know, minus 50 years, and that's what you got. So if you had 4 billion people, you cut it down a quarter, and there you go.
It's been 50 years since they erected that, 1980.
Yeah. So there you go.
50 or 40?
Well, more than that. Gosh,
40.
1980,
40, almost
40,
50.
56, 60 years, 60 years. So, yeah, it's.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what the I'll look it up, what the population was in 1980.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, these are things that you guys can look up yourselves, right? We're just kind of skimming over this to just bring it to your awareness. But yeah, so if you know, and this is why we're a little bit concerned. So this is what they want it to look like. And then you got the Deagle report that comes out and says that by the end of 25, which is the year we're in right now, you know, there's going to be a huge decrease in the population. Not specifically telling us how or why or anything like that. They just know for some reason that, you know, like UK, for instance, 80%. That's a lot. Canada 60, US 70, and so on and so forth. So what exactly are they planning on doing in order to get these numbers? That's the question, and that's, you know, a little concerning, obviously. And this is the one thing that I can't consent to this, because this is going to affect me as well, obviously. Especially at my age as well. They're not going to want
estimated world population in 1980 was around 4.4 billion people. Then that's about what I said. It was about 4 billion.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There you go. Yeah. So, you know, so it's a lot more now, you know, and I think the plan was planned for a lot earlier. I know in 2008, they were planning on doing this scenario that they did in 20. It was supposed to happen then with the swine flu. But for some reason, something rather, whatever, it got delayed another 20 years or whatever it's been now. You know what I mean? So it seems though that now we're in there. We're in the thing now. It's happening right now. There's no waiting for another 20 years now. It's happening right now. So this is why it's a little, I'm a little concerned about this here, you know, and especially with the Deagle report to go along with it. You know, what is coming? There's probably a lot of different things coming, not just one thing, I would assume. There's a lot. We just had an earthquake here on Friday, 5.1. You know, I felt it. I had some things fall here. Nothing major. Nobody got hurt or anything, but it kind of feels, and we've had a lot of sort of smaller ones in the last few years. I don't know. Like, I know they have the technology to do this on purpose. You know, they've done it before. So I don't know. I don't know. But I'm not going to dwell on that. But that is the first one, and the one that kind of concerns me a little bit. Now we're going to go down to the next one here. I'll spend a little bit of time on this. Okay, so guide reproduction wisely. Let's look at that first. Now, how can we guide a reproduction? Well, one, they're not going to ask us. You know, they're not going to come, because we're not going to consent to any of this if we got asked outright. However, I know Bill Gates has had, I just saw some recently reports a few years ago about how he's going to control the population, or rather depopulation, okay, with, you know, the medicines that he's coming out with. So that will be one way of guiding the or guiding, as in controlling the population. They don't want just any willy-nilly person like it is now to just get pregnant. That has to stop. And I do get that, because there is way too many people should never have been parents. There's so many screwed up people, and this is why we got all this mental illness and all these drug addictions, and it's just horrible, you know, out there. And that's because they were not raised properly, you know, for whatever reason. And their parents probably weren't raised properly, and just on and on and on. It's just, you know, there's just too many people that, you know what I mean, like that we're, you know what I mean, like, so I get it. I get it. They want us to reproduce, you know, artificially. So they already have the artificial womb, right? And they already have the technology. Right now, if you got the money, you can have yourself a designer baby. You can decide the hair color, the eye color, the gender, all that stuff. You know, and they're also making it so that the babies, there's no more diseases. There's no more, you know, defects of any kind at all. Right, so the baby's going to be perfectly healthy in every single way, and the people who are going to be in charge of raising these children will have to go through schooling. They're going to be, you know, and they're going to have to be a certain type of person, you know, that is able and willing to put in the time to nurture and guide and teach this little being into a good, productive member of society. You know what I mean? Rather than having all these, you know, people with issues. You know, and most of us do. Most of us have some issues. You know, and that stems from childhood. You know what I mean? So I get it, but again, I don't consent. I mean, I can't consent, because it does affect my bloodline. You know, as well. I know my kids went and took the Jabba Doobie, you know, and I'm surprised they even got pregnant, to be honest with you. But luckily for me, they did. Luckily, nothing has come from that yet. But yeah, so they want to guide the reproduction wisely. There's no more, we're not going to have all this that's going on now. And again, I get it. Okay. Now moving over to the next one, improving fitness and diversity. This is where Kennedy, okay, so Trump is now executing this New World Order plan to a T, and he's going full board. He's not wasting any time. He's got 4 years to get this all going. Okay, so Kennedy has been put in charge of the fitness and health. I think there's more about the Maybe they don't even talk more about that. But yeah, improving fitness and health. So we got to get rid of all this garbage food, right? All this stuff that we've been doing. Even though they've done it intentionally, right? That is going to change. We're not going to have obese people anymore. We're not going to, I'm looking around. I see a lot of these obese people on the scooters. They're all over the place, and they're so big. I'm sorry if I'm offending somebody here. So big, they can't walk anymore. And I don't have to tell you Americans. I mean, there's a lot more down in America. This is not going to be going on. We cannot have this happening anymore. We got billions of people, and some of them can't even walk. That's how big they are. And and a lot of that stems too from, like I said, childhood. There's so many issues. So they're using food, and the food they're getting is all garbage. Giving us diseases. We can't even take care of yourself, never mind being a productive member of society. So this is where Kennedy's coming in. He's been in charge of that. Now there's going to be a lot of positive things. I'm hoping that he really is going to dive in and expose all the air that's being sprayed and the food that's being sprayed. America is the top and the worst for spraying produce. Apparently Europe won't even accept American produce. They don't want the food. Okay, we got to stop this stuff, right? And we got to get back to health again. And so this is Kennedy's role, and I think he's gonna do a pretty good job. The only thing that I am worried about this is that it's going to be forced upon us eventually. Right now, he's just going to, it sounds all great and whatever. But eventually, it's going to be forced. And the way they're going to do it, so this is my prediction, is that, the smart devices that we're wearing, the step thing that you do, how many steps you've done a day and all this. Well, there's going to be, everybody's going to have one of those. Okay, the phone's going to be gone soon, and we're just going to be wearing a device like a watch type of thing, and it's going to be knowing how many steps you take. So and if you are lazy sitting on the couch all day and you're not taking any steps, well, your money will get deducted out of your account. There will be consequences to these. They're not going to put up with the way that we have been living. Okay. Same with the food's going to be a lot better, but it's going to be measured. They're going to know exactly when you're eating, how much you're eating, what you're eating. They're going to know your heart rate, your everything about you, right? Never mind the whole chippy thing. That's coming down the line. But just this monitor thing on your wrist, without even chipping you, can tell them, and it monitors right back to them on how active you are, what you're eating. How much have you had? If you had too much of something, now you cut off for the rest of the month, right? That kind of thing. And that's kind of the sort of the thing that I don't like. I don't like being forced. I think this would be me as well. After me, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like that idea. I do like improving fitness and diversity, yes. Being forced to, not so much. So that's my concern with that. But I am seeing a positive future with a lot more healthier people. No more health concerns. Babies are born with none of the concerns that we have. Nor cancer will be gone. There'll be none of these things that we have. Like there's no more autoimmune diseases. That's all part of the garbage that we're eating and jibber jabbers that we're getting, and stuff like that. So I see positive future. I just don't like how they're going to get there, because it's going to affect me, and I'm going to, you know what I mean? So there's that. So just a heads up. Just a heads up. The way things have been going, that's not going to be going on for much longer. Okay. So that's Kennedy's role in all of this. Now there's another one here. Unite humanity with the living language. I thought that was interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. It just, again, does that mean we're all going to have to learn a new language now then? Or are they going to make English the one? I don't think so, because you know what? There's not as many English-speaking people as there is probably Indian or Chinese. There's a lot more population there. So it'd be kind of naive to think that that's going to be the language, but I don't know. So be a heads up on that. There is going to be one language, and that kind of goes with the whole one government, one currency. It makes sense that they want one language as well. That way everybody knows, everybody understands each other. Kind of going back to the Tower of Babel, pre that. everybody spoke the same language. You know what I mean? Kind of going back to the old way, the original way, when the Anunnaki were here. You see what I'm saying? You're awfully quiet over there. Are you still with me there, Robert?
Oh, yeah, I'm still here.
Okay,
I'm still here. I'm just waiting for you to,
I'm
you know, because I'm
going to go through them all, and then you can chime in. Okay. Like I said, so that's, you know, I guess that will be okay. You know, probably make it a lot easier, you know, for business and everything else. We all spoke the same language, you know, but again, it's not going to be forced on us now to learn a new language. Again, being forced to do anything, I'm resistant to that. Now, rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. So no more of this extreme religious bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to have a new spiritual way of being. I think we're actually going to be a lot more spiritual in the future. And that's the plan. We're going to be way more in tune with nature and you know, all that kind of stuff, right? So I would almost get the feeling that we're kind of going back to more of the pagan roots in a way. It's a different way, but more spiritual, you know, and having some traditions and some faiths and whatever, but it's not going to be so extreme like it is today. I mean, literally all the wars we have in the world are over because my God's better than your God, you know, so all of that nonsense will be gone. So I am all for that. I think that's a great idea. And then you got this one, protecting people and nations with fair laws and just courts. This is exactly what's going on right now with Musk. He's got the other role here. He's getting rid of a lot of the corruption, a lot of this stuff, a lot of this money that was wasted. You know, like, you know, yeah, we don't need to be paying income tax if, you know, all the money that was collected actually went to the few things that we need it for, and not all these, you know, bullshit stuff that is going to now, you know. So sounds great to me. You know, get rid of, and I think it says here, yeah, avoid petty laws. We'll get to that in a bit here, but yeah, I think that's a great idea. And then they're saying to let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in the world court. So again, there is going to be one world court. There's going to be one of everything. There's not going to be multiple things. But, you know, we're not going to be going to the world court for some petty little things. So obviously, the little petty things we handle internally, right, is only those big issues that would then go into the world court. And so, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Avoiding the petty laws and useless officials. Again, this is Musk's job. Okay, so this is his role. He was bred for this role. Same with Kennedy. He was bred for that role that he's doing there with the health and fitness. Okay. So again, going in and getting rid of all of these useless officials, all of these people that have been sitting there twiddling their thumbs, getting huge pensions for doing what? You know what I mean? So if we can get rid of all of that and all the red tape for all the bullshit, you know, like we were talking, or I guess you weren't there, but I was on Max's show earlier, and we're talking about Maui. You know, how things going in Maui. So we Googled it and looked at it. Oh, going very slow because they can't get past the red tapes. They're just stalling them there so that they can take the land. You know what I mean? So if we can get rid of all these useless officials, useless and petty laws, and all of that, you know, just go back to the way it should be in the first place. So I'm all for that as well. And that's, like I said, Musk's role. So this is literally playing out in real time right now, guys. Okay, this is, it's happening right now. Now, balancing personal rights with social duties. We kind of saw a little bit of that during the 2020 when they guilted and gaslit us into believing that if you didn't take the thingy, you're killing grandma. Oh, it's your civil duty to do that because you got to protect grandma, right? You know, things like that, you know, so they're going to, they're going to gaslight us into believing and doing whatever it is that they want us to do because that's our social responsibility. And also the way, especially the North American Western world of feeling like we are entitled to certain things is gone overboard. Yeah, that's going to be gone. We're not going to have the big, huge houses and the two, 3 cars and the big vacations. All that, no, that's all going to be gone. We're going to be going back to kind of the way humanity originated a little bit. We're going to be slapped down to our yeah, we're gonna have to swallow some pride there. How they're gonna do? I guess this is gonna be after the culling, so whoever's left, is gonna be. And also another thing that came during the show earlier today on Max's thing, they were talking about children because we know a lot of children are missing, and these people were talking about taking children and grooming them for the way that they want people to be in the future. And oh wow, I thought that is very interesting, since we are going through a lot of the missing children thing lately. Is that why they're missing? Is that what they're doing to them, grooming them for the next civilization? Because they won't know any better. They all they know is what they're being taught right now, and which is the way it's going to be. And yeah, we're not going to be having as many rights as we do now. We're going to be doing things more for the greater good. Right now, we're not. It's all about me, us, right? Instead of, you know what I mean? And so those are our attitudes, and everything is going to be completely changed in the new world. Now, again, I don't know if I consent, because I think this is going to be something that's forced on us as well. Unless we are literally groomed from, but it only takes a generation or two, and we've already forgotten all the way it was before anyways. You know what I mean? So the boomers are almost out of here, and I'm the next generation. That's the older. I'm the elder now. So, once we're all gone, that's it. Nobody will remember. So this is going to be an interesting one on how they're going to go about that. This is going to be, I think, more Trump doing this, and he's going to say it and do it in a way that it's going to make sense. Everybody's going to agree, because things are going to go so out of hand here that we're going to be looking for structure. We're going to be looking for that leader to lead us into prosperity and abundance and peace and all that stuff, right? It literally sounds like the Antichrist, to be honest with you. If I was still in the Christian community, I would be all over that kind of stuff right now, but I'm not. So I'm not going to go there. But yeah, it's so, he is good at he just does it anyways. You just saw what he did in Gaza there. Just goes and takes it. That's what he does. So, don't expect it to be done in a graceful way, to be honest. Not with him if he's in charge. But anyways, prize, truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Again, we're going to be a lot more spiritual, I think, in the future. Not religious, but spiritual. We're going to be more in harmony with nature and just all of that. And so that sounds wonderful to me, And then the last one. Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. And this is why they are going to be doing the 15-minute cities. They're going to, whoever's left, right? Because there's not going to be very many left. So once the calling is already done, then it will be pretty easy to ship us all into these little cities. So I'll be all over the place. And we're just in there. And then the rest of the area is going to grow back. All the highways and all of this stuff that we got all over the place will go away, and nature will take over and be able to grow again. Because right now the earth is just covered in asphalt. You know what I mean? Like, not good. It's not good for if you think of the earth as a living being, which I do believe it is, it's not good. So it will be a lot better if we can condense the asphalt and noisy people into just small little pockets, and the rest would just be nature. You know what I mean? And that is basically, they said that twice in here. So, not to be a cancer, no more plastics, no more throwing things out the window. No more of this stuff. Like, it's just gotten out of hand. It's ridiculous of what humans have gotten to, and what we're doing to the planet, to the earth, to the animals. And so that's not the way it's going to be in the future. And so I'm seeing Trump is definitely groomed for this position, and Musk and Kennedy is part of the plan on executing every single one of these guidelines here. So I'd be interesting to see what you know, you guys have to say in the chat and also in the comment section later. You know, comments. Let me know what you think. Okay. Now, Robert, I'm going to hand it over to you. What say you? Should I get rid of this and go back to? Do you want me to have this up, or do you have something else that you want to show?
Well, we can go keep that up for a second. And okay, so I just want to highlight on some of these things. Perpetual balance nature. The thing is a lot of these guys are there. Well, there's maps of this somewhere out there that you were just talking about, where you know, we're going to move into these smart cities and stuff. But let's go back a little bit to the. Here, I got one for. We're going to go back to the Georgia Guidestones themselves.
Okay, want me to hide this and get something else up?
I'll share this with you. Okay, there we go. There we go. All righty. Let's go back to the
the language.
This. Okay, the language. Okay, it makes sense, you know, that they're going to write all this on there. Now they were talking about, you know, living language. This kind of goes with this. So you got these Guidestones and you know, you got English, Spanish, cuneiform, and this is just the sides of different ones. Okay, I can understand having Greek, you know, some of these other ones, Hebrew and Arabic, Chinese. There's a lot of Chinese, but you know, a lot of these are dying languages. You know, Greek is a dying language. Hindi is Swahili is a dying, Hebrew, dying language. You know, Arabic maybe not so much, Chinese not so much, Spanish not dying, English not dying, Russian dying. You know, but anyway, the point is why would you put a dead language on there? You know, hieroglyphy, that's the pick out, you know, and cuneiform. Nobody can read cuneiform. You know, even if you know, we didn't even know how to read cuneiform before. It took hundreds of years to figure out how to read cuneiform, and pictographs like Egyptian writing and Sanskrit. Nobody knows how to write. Why would you put these on here? Why would you put dead languages on? If everybody's dying off, nobody's reading it ever.
I guess
you
just
get what I'm saying?
You know, just in case. I don't know. Trying to have it so that people can come and visit the monument, and no matter where you're from, hopefully you'll be able to read one of them. You know.
Yeah, but like cuneiform, nobody reads it. It's a dead language. No, Sanskrit, dead language. Hieroglyphs, dead language. You know, so that is some of that. We got. Let's see. There's books out here. You know, we were talking about people writing books. Here's the monument from the top destroyed. We went through that a little bit, but this was destroyed. On the top, as you see here, it looks like a stain. Somebody had said that I doubt it, but they said that somebody was sacrificed there. That's going back to the satanic stuff. You know, here's some of the stuff people were writing on there. You know, we were talking about the you know, people deforming them. You know, and people know. You know, they're reading this, and they're saying, "Oh my gosh," you know, they know the Council on Foreign Relations. You know, maybe it's run by the devil, who knows, but it's run by somebody. You know, people are writing on these things because they know, you know, this is not right, you know, and the more information we get, the more people want to write on it. And this guy here, he knew they want 80% of us dead. See, there you go.
Well, this is why I think they were like, you know what, this is just getting too obvious now. People are waking up. And that's why they had to take it down, is what I think. You know,
and here's the thing. It says Babylonian cuneiform, dead language. Egyptian hieroglyphics, dead language. Sanskrit, dead language. Classical Greek, dead language. But then let us these be guidestones to an age of reason. It's basically saying, you know, these to me, I don't know about you, But to me, it's telling me that these societies, the Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Greeks, and people, Sumerians who wrote Sanskrit, these were the people that are at the base of our society. This is what our society is based on.
Right.
That's what I see out of this. And even though nobody could read their language, these people are the ones that founded our society.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Unite humanity with a new language. The new language. So, what is this new language going to be, right?
See, on the stones, it actually says a living language, which I thought was interesting.
A living language. Okay.
Language.
So, quick here. Where is it? This one. Okay. We're going to get to this. So, what is a living language? So I asked ChatGPT, living language here. Where is he? What do you think? Okay. And I says right here. One question. Georgia Guidestones talk about a new living language. I don't know. And he's basically, ChatGPT says, Guidestones do modern global language. Business or technology could be the language. International diplomacy. More than 1.5 billion people speak some level of English. This could be our language. It's widely used as a second language everywhere. There was do you ever know there was a new language constructed? This Esperanto. It's a new language designed in the 19th century. It was supposed to be easy to learn, international language. I've never heard of it. Have you?
I never heard of that either. No.
Yeah, so maybe these were things well, that's the thing. Maybe these people were experimenting with this, and it says here a future artificial language. I'm thinking that's maybe computers will come up with something.
Yeah.
We'll talk Klingon, from Star Trek.
Right.
Yeah. An AI-driven or universal hybrid language. That could language like Spanish or Spanish English, Chinese English are already grown due to globalization, which we know. We know that a lot of the words we say in our society today, we all understand what they mean when somebody says "arriba, arriba." I'm just thinking, can't think. But anyway, you're gonna take a siesta. There you go. What do you think? Okay, and it says the idea of a single unified language has been discussed for centuries. So this is nothing new. Anything that's on these things are just things that have been it's not new. Who funded this thing? Who could be one of those people funding this? This could be the Rockefeller Association.
Now, if I can just go back just a little bit, I talked about the children, missing children. What if they are taking those children and grooming them? And if they probably are teaching these children this new language. And when once we're all gone or whatever, and they come out and start rebuilding here, most of the young people will know this language already. And it'll only take another generation for, the old folks to perish, and nobody will even remember the old languages. It'll happen so quick,
Yes.
So, and the children, they learn really fast. Yeah, they learn real fast.
I watched an interview with this guy, and he was talking about, they were asking him questions, and he says, he's talking about genetics and, changing everything up. And he says, hey, we can change society in one generation if we really get to it. And, this is the thing. This is Rockefeller the third, and in 1932, he had all these plans already, and then of course with his science, and here's how much money he was putting towards all this stuff, non-conventional agriculture, operating agriculture, experimental biology, dwarfs all the rest of these. Experimental biology. 2 million. This was back in the day.
Guess who they're experimenting on? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Distribution of NSA national budget. This is, how he was the old and then the new plan. Look at how the money went up. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that some of these things were, planned out ahead of time. Let me get to some of this other stuff. Let's see. Okay, so as we go on, moving along, as soon as my picture comes up, the thing went down, like you said, and security footage did capture an individual running up there and put something on one of the objects. It was captured that a car leaving. It was a silver car. And why didn't the police go and find the car? Nowadays they can find anything. It was on video. If you watch this video,
there's no
it shows
investigation or anything. That's what makes it so weird. It's one thing if they'd done it properly and the way it should have been done. Like if you and I had done that, it would have been, you know what I mean? Like, but because
it just tells you it was planned. It was a planned thing. They hired somebody and said, "You do this, and we will let you go." And who knows? Maybe they killed them off later. Some hoodlum.
It's one of them, MK Ultra, sleeper cells that we call them. Just like all the other are happening at schools and whatnot, Those people.
We're going to move on quick fast here with this guy here, L. Ron Hubbard. If you haven't recognized him, he was a big proponent, of science. He's Scientology guy. Some of the stuff he's doing. Listen, just look at some of these things. L. Ron Hubbard presents Writers of the Future. He wrote lots of books. Scientology. He could have been one of those 20 guys, if there is such a thing, that would have been talking about depopulation, forming a new government, new ways, new languages, all of that stuff like that. He would have been into this moon and the star, really bad too. As you can see, he's been engaged in fundamentals in material universe, human behavior, through different alleyways. Imagine spiritual heights. That's in there too, Anyway, more than he did 5,000 writings and 3,000 recorded lectures. And of course, he did Scientology. Okay, so we're going to move on from him. That was wait a minute. See, again, in July of 1952, these guys were, into that. If you notice, Rockefeller was in them same years. These guys could have all been together on something. Then there's the Club of Rome, depopulation again. If you haven't heard of the Club of Rome, look it up. The Club of Rome was Prince Bernard. And Prince Bernard, we'll get into him in a second. A lot of these high-wigging people were into that. It's a think tank of the New World Order. The Club of Rome. Who would have thought of that? Again, who was the Club of Rome founded by and started? It was Rockefeller. He didn't just start one club. He started a bunch of them. And we're going to move on. 50 years. It's been around since 1968. So there you go. It's been around, I'm sure this is a long time. But anyway, 1968.
Well, actually, I was around 67 now. Or not 60, 57, but years.
Yeah. Yeah, and what the think tank think of the scientists?
It's a good year.
Economics, business. Yeah, good year. And it talks about technology, and it talks about the king Alexander, who was previously known. See, anyway, this goes way back. Talks about solving problems, limitations, and then of course here. Success of such modeling depends on both the quality and data and the capabilities of the computer in the 1970 method. So, I think these people were waiting for the computer to come along to help them. They couldn't, I think they realized they couldn't do that, with national data collection and, and how to work the exact numbers of unemployed people, useless eaters, it was limited by the available computer technology and could only use a low number of equations. Today, we have those computers that can do trillions of equations in minutes, that these computers could do in 100 years. Okay.
And another thing too, because like I said, they've been planning this for a long time, and they had sort of planned to do it in 2008.
Yeah.
I at that point, I only had my Facebook account for about 1 year at that point. Like Facebook was still new, and we didn't have a cell phone yet, and so we weren't quite there. So that might be why they waited another generation essentially to do it, is to get the technology literally embedded in our hands, so that we're used to that. So when that whole Apple phone or Apple Watch, which is already out, and the new devices that you're going to wear to tell you how many steps you take and all this other stuff that they're going to use, right, against us eventually. They had to wait. We weren't quite there yet. So maybe we didn't advance as quick as they thought we would have by 2008. So we were a little behind, I guess. So that kind of makes sense.
Well, absolutely. And then of course we got Prince Bernard. Probably never even heard of this guy. But he was, in the start of all this stuff too, with the eugenics and things like that. Of course, it goes back to, who do you think? The Germans. Bernard, the German aristocrat.
Party.
Of course, he denied being there, but they found that he was. And what did he do? He came over to the United States, he was Dutch royalty, and he was part of this whole thing too. It makes no sense, but if you want to know more about him, I couldn't find a whole lot of details about this guy. But
I just want to add in, talking about the royals. So Prince Philip, who was Queen Elizabeth's husband, was also linked to that party. Okay, the German party. As a matter of fact, they changed their name because of it.
Yeah.
Because, and also when I think it was back in the 80s or something, he had said that he would like to reincarnate back as a disease to take out humans, to depopulate the humans.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, right? Interesting. They were all about eugenics and all that kind of stuff. All of those people, the royals, all of these elites, they're all into it, And so
and these guys like Prince Bernard, who was kind of in the background of all this stuff, we never really hear about him. He switched from the German side to the English side and back and forth, and he was a representative of the Netherlands. He often met with many of the world's leaders, including President Roosevelt, Prime Minister Churchill, General Eisenhower, so he knew everybody, the Queen, when she, so anyway, it went on and on and on, how he was part of all these things, and so forth and so on. So, like I said, that he was an interesting one to look up, but he was into the big thing of the eugenics. Here we go with Rockefeller. Now, he also not only helps do the Club of Rome, but his first one was the Population Council in 1952 to address the global population. He believed in programs, why Rockefeller founded the council. All of this boils down to the Georgia Guidestones. Everything that he is on the Guidestones, people like him had been saying for years. It's just they finally put it in print in stone. It's like, I've been preaching this for years, let's put it in stone. And he may be dead and gone, but
the stone should have been there. But yeah, I know.
And he wanted to do.
They have to write it, somewhere for us to see it. The plans, the plan. This is the plan, guys. Yeah. So.
Yeah, he wanted to address controversial topics like human fertility. He sounds like a Bill Gates, in a way.
Yeah, well, they are. That's where Gates get it from. Like, he's just the next.
Yeah. He talked about how, the modern civilization has gotten rid of the, survival of the fittest, and we were literally going backwards instead of forwards with it. And he wanted to get rid of that, to solve our social, economic, and psychological factors that affect population growth, which is true. We have people out there that are getting stupider all the time. He set up institutions, plan. When I read this, I think, oh my gosh, family planning and artificial birth control. Planned Parenthood, anybody? The council works for government.
These guys started that as well. And if you look
Yeah.
into bloodline, it comes down to the Jays. They're all in there. Yeah, that's who they are. Okay.
Yeah. The Population Council also believed in forced sterilization.
Yeah, they used to do that back in the day. Yeah.
And Rockefeller was the first president. He served until his death in 1978. Yeah, he was killed in a car crash. You're one of the richest men in the world, and you were killed in a car crash. Isn't that ironic?
Well, I mean, accidents do happen to rich people as well, but you got to question when it comes to power and money and all that stuff. You just,
and then on the bottom, other funders, Rockefeller Brothers, Ford Foundation, the Markle Foundation, and National Institute of Health also funded the council for the early years. National Institute of Health. Bill Gates, anybody? His father?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's huge into eugenics. Yes.
Yeah, so when you start reading all this stuff, you can almost put together, if they're telling the truth about the group of 20, these are the people. It's all been out there. It's just that they finally put up a stone. Look at this guy, I mean, you've
this
seen
is the more modern, right? But the guy that his right-hand man, that little short dude, whatever his name is, he's huge into eugenics. Like, he's got some serious plans for us. Okay, let me tell you, it's very scary. Like, these people are so freaking scary. Billions. There you go. Yeah, who said that? What's this from? TikTok. So who knows?
TikTok it's just a picture. It looked like a good picture to put up there. Make you turn heads anyway.
Right.
You will own nothing and have nothing, and you will be happy. You will be happy. Eat the bugs.
Right. You will love it.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
That's great.
Now here's a guy you never heard of, Odin, Howard Odin. He was sociology. He was a professor. He did research in, eugenics. There was a bunch of stuff. I hope I got the right guy. There was like two different ones, and they both looked the same. I don't know exactly which one was, but his name was Howard Odum. I wrote it down, but I don't know if this is the one, but it might be. He was big into that eugenics thing too. And he fits the bill, in 1954. There you go, with all these things. He fits the timeline anyway. And he was from where? Born in Bethlehem, Georgia. So I think it would have been him too. And sociology, he was in sociology. You see, so you start to put together this, Herbert Hoover's a research committee on social trends, which would kind of fit in American Sociological Association, and here, you start putting the puzzle pieces together. You want to have social trends to trend what people want or what they're going to do, and then once you figure all that out, you have it put together. And then this guy. Some of you older people will probably know him, Mr. Ted Turner. And where is he? Was he from? Well, Georgia. He was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, but he did. He lived in Georgia. He was a big person in Georgia. It says here he went to school there in Savannah, moved to Savannah, Georgia, and everything. One of the richest men in the world for the longest time. He's still alive. I think he's 86. Of course. You know, you own the Atlanta Hawks, the Braves, the Thrashers, World Championship Wrestling. Gee, you know, doesn't that sound interesting? Who is in the wrestling? Do you know?
Well, Trump was big in that wrestling community.
There you go. I'm putting the pieces together here, you know.
Well, it's all one big club, right? And we just ain't in it, you know, but these guys all
that's
are.
my point. When you start really picking this stuff out, you start connecting the dots and you're going, oh my gosh, you know, world wrestling. And I'm thinking, Trump? He's, you know, I mean, I'm not saying they were friends or they knew each other, or probably did, but the whole point was,
yeah, they were all elbows. You know.
So then I mean, I dig a little bit into this, but here's one of the big things. Okay, so who was he married? Ted Turner. Who was he married to?
Jane Fonda. Yeah.
Jane Fonda Seymour. Okay, does that Seymour ring your ear a little bit?
Well, there's another actress named Jane Seymour, isn't there?
Yeah, Jane Seymour. They are related, and their family tree goes back to King Philip III.
Yeah,
and you see how it's all put together. Oh my gosh, you know. Then his children.
Yes.
Bloodlines. You picked it out. Yes, bloodlines. That's where it's going. It's all bloodlines. And then when you look back on Trump, where's his bloodlines go back to?
Probably King David as well.
King Philip. There you go. So anyway, you know, it's all
big family. We ain't in it.
Yes, different people, all related. You got Jane Seymour. She was a Bond girl, you know, medicine woman, you know, TV and all that. Jane Fonda, you know, her father.
I think in the 80s. I mean, she was big. Yeah.
He's big. Yeah. Ted Turner owns a TV network. You know, he was in all these things, owns all the stuff. You know, here he's a co-founder of the Nuclear Threat Initiative. Go figure.
Wow. Yeah, he's also eugenics. I remember one of his reporters stopped him or something, and he said something like really like not politically correct nowadays. And so they're hardcore. Like they don't even hide it. Like you know, the art that they want to get rid of. Okay, so
and you want to, you know, you're doing TV and you're influencing the little kids. Remember, he's a co-creator of Captain Planet and the Planeteers. You know, remember that cartoon? I've seen it. I didn't watch it, but I mean, I've seen it a few times, you know, of it. I've heard of Captain Planet, you know, save the Earth, you know, all the time. Where do you think these kids learn this stuff? Now they're like 30, 40 years old, and they're still thinking Captain Planet.
That's how they do it. They groom the children. You know, if you go and actually watch the Disney movies and the stuff that they are showing the children, totally grooming, you know, and and so this is why they want to take the children, groom them, and then get them out there because they're then going to be the new leaders, and they're just going to go along with it all because they don't know any better, you know. And so, it's a perfect little plan there. It won't take long at all to switch it over. And
Nina, this one here is just for you.
Okay.
It's Canada's Stonehenge.
Oh, there
you were
we
talking
go.
about in the beginning. So
right.
I looked it up, I found it, and there you go. That's what it looks like.
Where is it?
So
far away from me.
Is Blackfoot elder who resides on Shirska 146 First Nations Reserve of Shinishka Nation of Southern Alberta, southeast of Calgary.
Okay.
Somewhere in that area. Okay. But anyway, you'll have to look it up. But
day's drive, but you know,
the Pishni Medicine Wheel in Alberta is one of the oldest religious monuments in the world.
That's so,
and
there you go.
There you go. That's some of my stuff. Hope you enjoyed. But like I said, I wrote down a bunch of stuff. There was kind of neat things. The material that the stones were made out of, why they were so thick. It basically, it was a set of rules for more peaceful society, and I get that. But these people that I think would have been either funding it or giving these ideas for these things wasn't just one guy. These people that I pointed out, they had these ideas already. This stuff isn't new to anybody. They've been boiling on this for almost 100 years. And then in World War II, these ideas were very prominent during World War II with the Nazis out there. And then once they got dispersed and rid of, that doesn't kill an idea. You could kill a society off, or
the ideas there. Yeah.
But they just go underground, and then they create the new names for their agendas. Like the Club of Rome.
They just rebrand it. That's right. And all of those scientists from back in the mid-40s political party went to the Americas. Yes. Americas is literally founded upon Freemasoners and a bunch of, and words.
Yeah, and these people said government should regulate reproduction. Rockefeller said modern society's limited natural selection. Under social pressures, produced a weaker individuals, and we should we should leave room for nature. Yeah, by putting people in smart cities. Now, as time changes, like I said, they were literally, you read it, they were waiting on the computer to catch up with their ideas they had so they could implement them. And they can't
so we know now from looking at this that these guys were sitting around, round table probably, having meetings and discussing these things just like they are now, where they have their little secret meetings everywhere and whatever. And this was back in the 50s, 40s, 50s, whatever. It's really Mr. H's idea, right? That they're kind of founding a lot of it on. But so imagine for a second, you're in the 40s, you're hatching all this up. And you're thinking ahead, and you already know a lot of the technology that's already there that we had actually in the 40s. So these people knew about that, so they could visualize the future a lot clearer than say we can, because we don't know the technology that's coming. So, anyways, if you're gonna make this kind of because you have to make it in a way that everything is gonna kind of collapse. So, anyway, so they pushed us and groomed us with putting the TV into our house so they can literally just program whatever it is that they wanted right there, right? Get people hooked on that. That was the first mistake that we ever did, was to accept that TV into our house. We literally just opened up our brain and said, okay, here you go. Just put it in there. You know what I mean? We don't care what it is. Just put it in. Anyway, so that TV essentially was pushing on the agenda. So we went from Leave It to Beaver, right, to all the nonsense that's going on today. And that's all by design. It was literally programmed into us so that we would become this. So then they were like, oh, look at this. This is horrible. Now we've gone so far that people, you know what I mean? So that we have to do something about it. And so that's exactly
you got kids and you got grandkids. What do they do nowadays? They set that kid down in front of the TV. The kid stares at the TV. He forgets about the world around him, and they're like little zombies. I've seen it myself. They put the kid in front of the TV, and the kid looks up, and he gets really close to the screen, as close as he can, and he's just like, you can see the drool just drooling down on them because they're so zoned out, and you're thinking,
so that's a real thing. It's all in the amount of flickers. It actually is a certain amount of flickers that would actually put you in a hypnotic state. And when you are in a hypnotic state is when you are the most impressionable, where whatever's being said and done, even if you consciously don't remember exactly what you just watched, it's kind of like driving home from work. You don't really remember how you got there because you zoned out. You're sort of, but subconsciously though, you pick it all up, and kids are, very adaptable. They soak up everything. And like I said earlier, you should see the programs that they have for them, and so yeah, they're literally being programmed into what they want them to do. And I didn't realize this with the video games, because my kids they literally were born right when Windows 95 came out. We literally got the kid, and then we got the computer right at sort of the same time. And we had no idea about the dangers. We're so naive. No idea about the dangers of this fucking thing, and so here I am just letting the kids, whatever. There was no parental control or nothing. My kids, unfortunately, they were like the experimental generation. Like they had access to all the porn. I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of that was even possible. But of course, and so, yeah, my God, we probably screwed them up. But yeah, that's, we didn't know the dangers of it. We do kind of.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, when you were serving Kool-Aid to the kids, I'm sure you did. You didn't think about all the yellow dye in there, and you didn't think about what's in it. You just said, "Well, the kids like it. Look at, he's got a Kool-Aid mustache," and you made fun of, look at, you wipe that off. It's all over your face.
I know. Kool-Aid, we never drank water. It had to be iced tea. We had to make something put some kind of sugary something in the water. That's how we drank it.
Yeah.
And I remember, of course, it was tap water. So when you freshly made that iced tea, it was like, tastes kind of gross. But if you put it in the fridge overnight, now it tastes better. Well, that's because of all of the chlorine that's evaporated now and all this other stuff. But yeah, it's just the things I think about, the things that we used to do, and it's like, wow.
Well, yeah, exactly. But like I said, their idea with depopulation, reprogramming, genetics, now they have they were just waiting on it to implement this stuff, and we all went along with it. Now they're implementing it through our food and just sterilizing us through the food with the plastic bottles. I think you and me were talking about that with the different chemicals in the plastics.
It's in your cookware. So like if you have a non-stick pan, that means you're getting thousands and thousands of like whatever nasties in your food. Okay. Same with the plastic. So even your Brita filter, and this is something that's actually come to my attention lately. Yeah, I don't use Brita, but I have another system. But yeah, the picture is plastic.
Yep.
Like how much plastic particles am I getting from this thing? So we're going to have to go over to a different way of filtering, but unfortunately it's more expensive. That's the problem, right? So, yeah.
Well, and there's some people out there that don't understand it. They just can't get it through their head. You can't see it. How's it getting? But it's too late for them. You've already fed your kids plastic and plastics and everything. You go to the store and you think, oh, and I got Ziploc bags. Oh, that's plastic storage containers, plastic. And, got milk. Well, it's in plastic. You want tea, it's in plastic. You go to get a soda, it's plastic. Everything is. It's not even just your cookware, because you can get a campfire.
We moved right over to plastic on everything because of convenience. And that's one of our downfalls as a human. We want to evolve, but the reason why we want to evolve is because we're lazy. We were trying to find a way to do it with less effort. It's like going from the horse to the car. We only evolved to the cart because we didn't want to have to ride or walk or whatever anymore. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a downfall that humanity has. Honestly, it really does come down to trying to be sneaky and lazy and trying to get at it, so so now plastic everything. And it's bad for us, it's bad for the environment. We got plastic, like the landfill. Have you seen like the barges? Anyways, it's just horrible at what we've been doing. So I do agree with a lot of the stuff that they're talking about, how they want to make changes. We do have to change. We cannot, this planet cannot go on, the way that it's going right now. We just can't. I do see a really good future coming up for those who do survive. Unfortunately, most of us, probably, especially here in this chat, you know, if you're 50 plus, which most of us are, we're the kind of people that they don't want to have around. You know, that we're not really part of the plan, and we're also going to be the hardest to try to change. You know, we've been here for so long, been doing things for so long. It's going to be so hard to try to change us. But the children, on the other hand, it'll be quick. We'll pick it up real quick.
The thing is we're right now in present day, we're thinking short term. These people thinking long term. Genetic. I mean, we were just talking about bloodlines. I mean, you can literally go back and trace the bloodlines back for Bill Gates, George Bush, you know, on and on and on, you know, and other people, you know, like these people in Hollywood. You can see that this guy's related to that guy and their kids and their kids and their, you know, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you know, it's just one, you know, their kids will be in Hollywood too. And now they're in the movies, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, now, and they're doing their thing. And then you're like, well, who is that? Well, you know, their father is, you know, some Hollywood actor, and his father was
yeah, it's one big club. It's the J club, though. Hollywood is all J's.
Yeah. And so you don't think that those kids are programmed, sat down somewhere along the line and said, listen, you're part of this bloodline. This is our goal. You know, this is what you're going to do. And if you don't do what you're supposed to do, well, you may have a fatal car wreck and you won't be around very long.
Right. I'm sure that conversation comes up eventually. But unfortunately, what happens to these people is that they are groomed from the day they're born. You know, like you look at Baron Trump, okay? Like she didn't have any nannies at all. Nobody was allowed to be around that kid. Like she did everything herself. And that is because she wants to make sure that there's no outside anything. You know what I mean? If you want to be in control, and it also gave her the opportunity, or them, the opportunity to groom him exactly the way that they want him. And so he's completely bred for his role coming up. He's got a big role coming up.
Well, think about it. In like 30 or 40 years, you know, he may be the next president. I would
assume that he's going to be down the road.
Yeah, and people would vote him in just because if his dad does a good job, they're going to look at him and in 20, 30 years and say, holy cow, let's get him to run. And by that time, you know, he's either going to be going up the ladder. He's probably really famous. Who knows what happens to him in the next 20 years.
Or it could be the exact opposite, where maybe, you know, Trump isn't. So like say if, you know, the culling has happened in his reign, which it probably will be because he's got 4 years to get this done. You know, that's probably, if that's the case, I would think that the people who are surviving aren't going to really like him too much. So maybe Barron could come in and do the opposite of like, you know what, I know my dad screwed up, but I'm here to, you know, make it better. I'm going to fix it all. And, you know, I'm not going to be like him, you know, or whatever.
Well, I've heard rumors, you know, this was a long time ago that, you know, if Trump, you know, he won't run, but Ivanka might run. And I'm thinking, well,
I was going to say, I think she might be going in there first. I think Barron is down the line. He's too young. He hasn't had any life experience yet.
But Ivanka would be, you know, there's
perfect. And she's a female, so it'd be like, oh, the first female president, and she happens to be Trump, who's whatever, and
Okay, but think about this.
She's married to the Jew.
I was going to say, I was just going to say that. Who's she married to?
Oh yeah.
You know.
And we do know, and if you guys don't realize, Trump converted back in 2017 to Judaism. He has not been a Christian for a long time, just so you know. Okay, that's how committed these people are, and he gave his daughter.
You know, these presidents, these people up in high society like that, they flip religions at the blink of an eye just to blend in.
It's all in the name of business, baby. It's the name of business. That's right. Who's your daddy? Oh, big Jew. Oh, we're Jew now. That's right. You know.
That's right. But besides that, it's like I really don't think any of those people, and this is my opinion only, and you may agree, but my opinion is is that when you get to that point where you're so rich, you know that there's, what's really going on. You're not bowing your head, going into church every day and praying for the good Lord to save you, because you're already saved, because you know all the secrets. Put it that way.
Yeah, well, you've been told, so many times that, hey, you're the chosen one, you're special, you this. Eventually, your ego is going to inflate enough that, it's going to hold you up, and you're going to do your job, I guess, right? That's part of grooming, So, yeah, they can either make you or break you depending on how they're grooming you. They manipulate you, and so, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, Trump is also an actor. Remember, we talked about like there's too many things to mention. I mean, yeah. Anyways, enough about him. He's got his 4 years. I'm hoping to kind of wrap it up, I guess, and try to be on the positive note. I mean, it's exciting to be here at this time, even if I'm gonna get called soon. I mean, I already had I downloaded 7 years ago that this was going to happen. So I'm not surprised, right? And I've had a good life, and it's been, we really were here in the last generation, of the way things used to be. I mean, it's so, it's been a good ride. I'm ready if that's the case, or I'm also ready for the new world. I do see it being, I think it's going to be good. If we can get peace, imagine that. Get rid of all the religions and all the nonsense that's, the root cause of most of it, has been the name of God. Whose daddy is the biggest, baddest. And that's basically what it's been all about. So silly. So yeah.
It really is.
So yeah. Anyway. Good time said, and that's a good note to end on too, is that so we don't know what's going to happen, and we never do, so enjoy every day like it is your last. You know what I mean? Yeah. Make sure that you tell your loved ones that you love them, and leave things on a good note, and have things ready, get yourself ready, so that way you can sit back, relax. Whenever it happens, you know what I mean? So
you never know, you might be one of the 500 million that makes the boat.
Well, you might be, right? And one good thing to do is to wear some of the merch that says "We do not consent." So at least when you do go out, you can point at your shirt and say, "We don't consent to this." Karma's on you now. Karma's on you, not on me. So you know what I mean? Yeah. I got mine up here because you can't see me wearing it. So, well, there it is.
There it is. There it is.
All right. Well,
sit back a little bit. It comes up better.
Yeah, it looks actually pretty good now, because I know green doesn't show up on the green screen, so that's an issue for YouTubers, and of course I chose the green. I like that lime bright green. It just brightens things up. I think it's nice. So it'll be good for spring. Get yourself some new duds for spring, because it's coming around the corner around here anyways. Winter's over here now. I know it's not maybe down your neck of the woods, but here we're out of the woods now as far as that goes.
Yeah, so, I think we're out of the woods a little bit too. We probably get a little cold weather, but for next week or two, it's going to be nice. So I'm soaking it up what we can. The snow is melting. I'm just happy.
Yeah. Enjoy every day, no matter what's going on. Just enjoy it.
That's right.
And have some fun. And if you're not having fun, then fix that. Go and do something. Go and do something fun. Enjoy whatever time we got, and then pop the popcorn and let's watch the show. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I do have a link to that Wikipedia if you guys want to read up on that. And I do suggest to go and do your own research, check it out, see what else you guys can get. And if you get something good, let us know in the comment section. I would love to hear what you guys think of what we talked about, and maybe you can add something to it. That's even better. And, yeah, check out all my links down below in the description for ways to support and affiliate links and all that good stuff. Robert, what do you got coming up here this week?
Let's see. Tuesday night, Native American Myths and Legends. Hope you all join me over there. See you there. That's for sure. It's going to be fun.
So next week, we have a guest, and I'm going to have you come on because I don't even know this person. And to be honest with you, I'm a little bit nervous. I have no idea who this is. So anyways, she was very eager to come on. So we're going to have her on, And I'll send you the details so you can see who it is. But yeah,
Right.
So that's what we're doing next week. And then I guess we'll return with the Anunnaki the week after. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out here. Share it out. Okay. Comment down below. And subscribe if you haven't, obviously. And like my new Facebook page. Join us up on Discord, on Gilded, all that stuff down in the description, guys, as well as Robert's links. Okay. Get yourself some merch, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.